Welcome to Around San Diego. So glad to have you with me. I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day. I'll get you caught up on our top stories and look ahead in just 30 minutes. We do begin with those experiencing homelessness. Mayor Todd Gloria stood by his comments made this week about shelter beds always being available in the city. But our reporting finds that's not always the case. CBS 8 followed two people looking for help, both lined up outside of city shelters for hours, they say, as they were told to do so, but were turned down by the shelter, saying that no beds were available. Mayor Gloria told us that's never the case, but he says individuals shouldn't just show up at a shelter and expect a bed. Instead, they should use housing navigators and caseworkers.
I've seen some of that reporting. These are individual circumstances, and it's difficult to know from the outside, just based on the limited reporting that was provided, what those individual circumstances are. What I would tell you is you can look at the city's dashboard for our shelter system. You can see on any given day, we do have some beds available. Not always a lot. On certain days, it's very few.
Yeah, Mayor Gloria did point out that people may be turned down for certain beds if it's a top bunk or if they want a senior-only option. CBS 8 will continue to push for answers. Well, now to an update on our continuing coverage of a 62-year-old San Diego man who suddenly found himself homeless for the first time in his life. After following the advice he got from the city, he still wasn't offered a space in a shelter. But as CBS 8's Steve Price reports, through other channels, he's now been offered permanent housing.
Just 2 weeks ago, a longtime San Diego man was facing the very scary situation of having to sleep on the street. But this story of fear and desperation has taken an amazing turn. The man we've been calling Scott has been offered permanent housing.
So your name?
The man who's been willing to share his very personal journey of becoming unhoused is now ready to share his real name.
I'm Mark. I'm Mark.
You can't blame Mark Staten for wanting to be anonymous. He never, ever thought he'd be in this position. His savings gone and now unable to afford rent.
It can happen to anybody. You would never think this kind of thing would happen to you. It can. I mean, Scott can be anybody.
For 2 weeks, we followed him through his journey with the city of San Diego trying to get help.
I had went through the 211 system. I called like everyone that said, told me to call and did everything they told me to do. And there was no success in anything.
For 6 straight days, he lined up at the city's homelessness response center at 4:30 in the morning, hoping to get into a shelter. So when Mayor Gloria says this,
there's always beds available.
Mark says,
no, that's not true. It's not true.
CBS 8 reached out to our contacts in this area, and they pointed him toward the San Diego Rescue Mission, where Mark was a perfect fit for their faith-based program.
They welcomed me with open arms, and it's just wonderful. It's wonderful. It's a blessing. It's a total blessing from God. Thank you.
And then his good fortune got even better. Just 3 days after the counselors here entered his information into the county's database for housing, he was offered permanent supportive housing at a brand new facility.
He really fits the criteria that the county has put in place to get them rehoused very quickly when it comes to supportive housing.
Corey Eubanks understands the system better than anyone. Before he started working as an admissions advocate at the San Diego Rescue Mission, he was homeless for 10 years, and he experienced the same confusion and dead ends that Mark faced.
That's been an issue since I was on the street.
I'm so excited.
Mark signed the paperwork today for his new housing and will be allowed to stay there as long as he wants.
I appreciate all of you very much.
In downtown, Steve Price, CBS 8.
Yeah, wishing him well, Steve. Thank you. Well, tens of thousands of local Scripps patients, mostly seniors, are scrambling to figure out where they'll get their next medical care next year after Scripps announced that 2 of its health groups will no longer accept Medicare Advantage plans. Scripps just started alerting its patients that their coverage will no longer be accepted. CBS 8's Shannon Handy has details, including when it takes effect and why it's happening in the first place.
This change goes into effect January 1st. It impacts 32,000 patients who have Medicare Advantage plans at Scripps Clinic and Scripps Coastal.
It's just a burden.
David Lombardi has been a Scripps patient since January of 2020. He has a chronic condition and relies heavily on the care he receives, which makes this upcoming change a hard one to swallow.
It took a lot of work to find what I consider to be the right specialist.
Lombardi is one of more than 30,000 local Scripps patients who just got this letter letting them know Scripps will no longer accept Medicare Advantage plans at Scripps Coastal and Scripps Clinic starting next year. Medicare Advantage plans are privately run versions of the federal government's Medicare program, mainly for people 65 and older. That means he'll either have to enroll in a new plan to stay at Scripps, which could cost upwards of $350 more per month, or find another doctor someplace else.
One, they don't know my history. Even if they get it in a chart, they're not going to know really my reactions that the specialists I'm dealing with now know.
In a statement, Scripps tells CBS 8 Scripps and health systems across the country are facing unprecedented financial pressures. We are looking at all we do and, when necessary, making difficult decisions to ensure that we can continue to meet the needs of the community we serve. The revenue from Medicare Advantage plans is not sufficient to cover the cost of the patient care we provide. Adding, Scripps tried to negotiate with private insurers for reimbursements that would cover our costs, but was unsuccessful. I spoke with Pat Salas, president and CEO of SBHIS Insurance Services, the county's largest and oldest Medicare Advantage agency. She tells me while hospitals drop plans all the time, this is the largest disruption in San Diego history.
Imagine if you're that person, right? You're going to have to decide on, do I pay for this expense or not? And that's a tough one.
Her advice, if you're not able to pay more to stay, make sure you voice where you'd like to go next and check to see if they have space, as many places may now get inundated with new requests.
It's not like you're going to be left in the cold on January 1. You're going to still have your plan, and that plan is going to switch you to another provider. Members need to take a role and say, wait, don't just put me wherever. Let me choose.
At this point, Lombardi isn't sure what he's going to do, but says neither option is ideal.
It's just going to be starting from ground zero again.
Shannon Handy, CBS 8.
Shannon, thank you. And speaking of healthcare, stay with CBS8.com to see if contract negotiations get anywhere this weekend for the strikers of Kaiser Permanente. Well, amid the high price of gas that we've seen, multiple incidents of people trying to steal gas from cars over the past few weeks. CBS 8 talked with a man who says a thief drilled into his truck's gas tank. It happened over the weekend in Cortez Hill.
You rely on a vehicle to, go grocery shopping for your family, taking the kids out. Things like that are a bit disappointing.
AAA says incidents of gas siphoning increased in California when gas prices hit record highs last year. There are signs to watch out for to know if someone has been trying to steal gas from your car. This includes the smell of gas near your vehicle, a puddle near your fuel tank, or the vehicle not starting. And this week, the county issued a water contact closure for Campland on the Bay. That's because of this huge fire that we first brought you on the 4 on Monday afternoon. A storage building caught fire off of Pacific Beach Drive right there in PB. Authorities say about 17,000 gallons of chemical runoff went into the water. The San Diego Fire Department says carts, batteries, paints, and some maintenance material were inside the storage facility. The building is a total loss. Well, also this week, the San Diego County Water Authority said we have enough water to meet the region's needs in 2024. The Water Authority credits efficient water use and the county's supply diversification strategy. So yes, keep being conscious and using little water as possible. Forecasters, though, are predicting an El Nino year, which means another rainy winter. Over the last year, we had a tremendous amount of rain, but the county says people still, of course, do need to conserve. The new water year started on Sunday. Well, we have new information on a story that we've been covering about hundreds of small animals that went missing after being transported from San Diego to Arizona. Well, the CEO and Chief Programs Officer of Humane Society Southern Arizona have been suspended, and there's a disturbing theory as to where those animals may have ended up. CBS 8's Shannon Handy has details on that and reaction from the San Diego Humane Society.
Of the more than 300 animals transported, 250 are still unaccounted for. Though not confirmed, it's believed they may have gone to an unvetted organization known for selling snake feed. Staff members here at San Diego Humane Society are furious.
It would literally be impossible to describe how angry, how hurt we are as an organization.
When San Diego Humane Society transported 318 hamsters, rabbits, guinea pigs, and rats to the Humane Society of Southern Arizona back on August 7th, it was done to alleviate overcrowding at our local shelters. Humane Society San Diego Executive Vice President Brian Doherty says nothing was out of the ordinary until he learned the majority of those animals went missing.
We have worked with agencies for decades and have never seen anything along these lines, nor has anyone else in animal welfare.
Doherty tells me animal welfare groups in Arizona were the first to shine light on this issue after they called the Humane Society of Southern Arizona checking on the animals, only to learn staff members weren't even aware a large transport had taken place. From there, San Diego Humane Society started asking questions and were told they were given to a small family-run rescue and adopted out in a matter of weeks. But Doherty says there has been no documentation to back that up.
They told us that the 250 animals have been adopted into homes. You need to take us at our word. None of the information that they provided made sense with that, so we asked for additional clarity.
Fast forward to now, and the Humane Society of Southern Arizona just announced its CEO, Steve Farley, and Chief Programs Officer, Christian Gonzalez, have been suspended following the launch of an investigation. It comes as animal groups based in Arizona claim to have discovered where the animals went, saying the family involved runs an online business which sells live and frozen feed for snakes. Earlier today, the Humane Society of Southern Arizona released a statement saying they are working to confirm the animals' well-being, adding the board presently has no evidence indicating the animals were harmed. Doherty says it's a good start, but he won't be satisfied until we know for sure what happened to those animals and that those responsible never work in the animal welfare field again.
Is suspension enough?
I would say no. Our entire industry is in fact built on trust and transparency, and this has damaged the credibility of organizations across the country.
Shannon Handy, CBS 8.
Yeah, another one we'll stay on top of. Shannon, thank you. Well, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and Tuesday, the San Diego County District Attorney's Office honored the 14 victims who lost their lives to domestic violence here last year. According to SANDAG, in 2022, more than 17,000 cases of domestic violence were reported to law enforcement across the county, but experts say that actual number is sadly likely much higher. During the vigil, we heard from one woman who shared her story about her mom who was killed by her abuser.
When she finally tried to end that relationship, he shot her through the back and ended her life. Rosa was my mother. I was 11 years old when this happened. I was 11 years old when I saw her murderer out on bail, leaving the courthouse, driving away in his sports car.
I started the voting.
Yeah, it gives you goosebumps. So Tuesday, the council unanimously approved $6.2 million in grant money to go toward emergency shelters for survivors of domestic violence, as well as human trafficking and sexual assault victims as well. Well, another mother is grieving her son after he died from a fentanyl overdose, and adding to her pain, his body went unidentified for months after his death. Now that mom is looking to hold the county responsible. CBS 8's Brian White has more on the legal claim filed just this week.
The body of this 19-year-old man was here at the medical examiner's office for 5 months, zipped up in a body bag, all the while his mother was searching for her missing son. She even called here describing him and his tattoos, and they told her he wasn't here.
It's hard to find words to describe just how deep that pain is.
Renee Lim still reeling from the heartbreaking news that her missing son's body was in the custody of the San Diego County Medical Examiner's Office for 5 long months while she searched for him.
The trauma of not knowing or thinking that he was alive.
Renee lives up north in Lafayette, California, but her son Ryan was here in San Diego last year while in treatment for substance abuse until he relapsed and was found unresponsive on a sidewalk downtown and was rushed to UCSD Medical Center where he was pronounced dead on November 7th.
It's actually very difficult to think of life without Ryan in it.
Ryan's body was brought to the medical examiner's office on the day of his death, but sat there unidentified until April of this year. It wasn't until a friend of Ryan's found his picture on the NamUs website for missing and unidentified persons that Renee realized where he was.
They have a statutory duty to identify a cause of death and notify next of kin. This is their job.
Mark Greenberg is the attorney representing the Lim family. He filed a legal claim against the county Tuesday that says the medical examiner's office did not do its job here.
5 months, they sat on a blood sample and did not even try to figure out the cause of death.
In April, blood sample testing showed that Ryan had fentanyl in his system and cause of death was determined to be an accident. A spokesperson for the county told CBS 8 that in fiscal year 2022 through 2023, the Department of the Medical Examiner's Office identified 83% of John and Jane Doe decedents within 72 hours.
They could have identified the body. They could have run the fingerprint against DMV. They could have done that on day one.
Renee now lives with the pain of not having been able to say goodbye to her son one last time.
When the mortician, when he said that I shouldn't see Ryan, it really just broke my heart.
I'm Brian White for CBS 8.
Yeah, truly, my heart goes out to you. Just awful. And meantime, another tough one. A man from Leucadia has been in the hospital for a month after crashing while riding his e-bike. Sadly, he was not wearing a helmet when it happened. CBS 8's Ariana Cohen talked to his wife, who says she hopes that her family's accident can lead to change.
You just don't think that this is something that will happen to you. And, oh, I can go 2 blocks and I'll be fine.
Bradley Moots was only 2 blocks from his house in Leucadia when he suddenly hit a curb and went over the handlebars of his e-bike. His wife of 33 years is furious he was not wearing a helmet.
They told me it wasn't survivable, and I about lost my mind. I yelled at him a bunch, told him I was going to kick his butt, and now it's like, you idiot. 1 second it'd take you to put on your frickin' helmet, and you didn't put on your frickin' helmet. What are you thinking?
He's been at the hospital with a broken skull on the right side and has been in a coma for weeks.
You doofus. I mean, it's like, oh, I just want to throttle him. You know, if he had his helmet on, if he was wearing his helmet, he would be walking away with just facial fractures.
He just turned 69 years old and was just 3 weeks shy of retirement.
We've known each other all our lives, you know, it's like, and I told him, I said, you're not getting out of this marriage this easily. You know, it's like, this is it, dude. You know, it's like, I'm going to do whatever the frick it takes to make you whole again.
She is hoping her husband's accident will urge others to wear a helmet while riding e-bikes.
What I'd really like to see is a law put in place that you have to wear a helmet while you're on your e-bike. It takes 1 second. That split-second decision is what's going to save your life. I don't want to see another family going through what I'm going through right now.
Ariana Cohen, CBS 8.
Just wishing him a miraculous recovery. Truly, Ariana, thank you. Well, major changes to the highly anticipated Midway Rising project at the site of the current sports arena. A 200-room hotel will no longer be built after the discovery of a sewer line. And while plans for 2,000 units of affordable housing will still go forward, 250 units of middle-income housing that were originally promised are not in the new plans. The developers say that's because of current high interest rates and poor economic conditions.
So you're telling us that this venture that has 2 billionaires at the helm, who between them own 4 or 5 national sports franchises, can't figure out how to build 250 middle-income housing units for us?
Yeah, so the units will still be built, only now they will be offered at market rate. The development team is expected to provide a formal project description later this month. A council vote on the final Midway Rising development is still over a year away. If you're remembering voting on this, well, that was just for the height limit. All right, well, LaFonza Butler is the newest member of the United States Senate. Butler is filling the seat vacated by the death of longtime Senator Dianne Feinstein, who died last week at the age of 90.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States?
Yeah, Vice President Kamala Harris swore in Butler on Tuesday. Governor Gavin Newsom appointed her to serve the rest of Feinstein's term. She is now only the third black woman to ever serve in the U.S. Senate and the first openly gay senator from California. She is receiving criticism, though, for not currently being registered to vote in this state. Meantime, Kevin McCarthy says that he will not run again after becoming the very first Speaker of the House to ever be removed from power by a House vote. Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz filed the motion to remove McCarthy after the Speaker turned to Democrats to help pass a short-term spending bill to keep the government open. But then it was Gaetz who needed Democrats to help remove him.
The one thing that the White House, House Democrats, and many of us on the conservative side of the Republican caucus would argue is that the thing we have in common, Kevin McCarthy said something to all of us at one point or another that he didn't really mean and never intended to live up to.
The decision to vacate the chair means the House will now plunge into a battle to elect a new Speaker of the House, and the House cannot proceed on any other issue until a new Speaker is elected. Well, City of San Diego crews are installing parking meters in Pacific Beach. They started work on Tuesday. The city says the meters will be along Garnett Avenue, Cass, Bayard, and Hornblende streets right there near the beach. They'll charge $1.25 an hour and will run Monday through Saturday from 10 in the morning until 8 at night. The city says the meters will regulate parking and help businesses that depend on parking turnover for their customers. And on Wednesday this week, San Diego County leaders broke ground on a new public health laboratory. The facility is being built at the County Operations Center in Kearny Mesa. It will be used to test for rabies, Zika, or West Nile in our region. The lab will also use rapid testing to determine what kind of illnesses they are dealing with and if it needs to be monitored or acted upon quickly.
Somebody comes in with a white powder, we can say, oh, it's not anthrax, okay? Or someone was playing with some ground squirrels at Palomar. No, the symptoms are not from plague, okay? So this is important. All those things are happening quietly behind the scenes with the amazing staff in the public health lab to answer these questions.
Yeah, some bright minds right there. The lab is expected to cost about $93 million and is scheduled to open in the spring of 2025. Thursday, a local school for veterans received a much-needed makeover. Workshops for Warriors is a nonprofit school that offers veterans STEM manufacturing training and certifications to help them adjust to a civilian life at no cost. Enrolled veterans spend 9 hours a day at the school, and it was needing some improvement. So the Home Depot Foundation gave the school some upgrades, like adding seating, lighting improvements, bathroom remodeling, and kitchen appliances.
We are actually getting all of our galley vamped up so that we can have breakfast and lunches served in a place that is nice, has great furniture, repainted, and looks fantastic.
If you'd like to find out more information about workshops for Warriors, just head to cbs8.com. And this week marked 2 months since the devastating fires on Maui, and hundreds of animals were displaced by the tragedy. Well, they are still being cared for. An employee from the San Diego Humane Society traveled to Maui to help out, spending 10 days rescuing and caring for animals that no longer had homes. CBS 8's Abby Black shares her story of hope.
When the devastating fires roared through Maui, San Diegans stepped up and were on the front lines to help the people and their pets.
2 months after wildfires destroyed Maui, you see signs of new life.
But days after the destruction,
I've described it to people that it almost felt like we were in a black and white movie or in a newspaper.
the ASPCA's manager of disaster response deployed to the Hawaiian island to assist with animal rescues.
Everything was so burnt that it was black, white, or gray. Everything for miles.
But there were hundreds of pets who literally rose from the ashes.
Cats have to be the most resilient animals in the world because some of them that we got had been there 20 days after the fire.
Some of the cats were burned, dehydrated, and emaciated.
Their resiliency was really incredible.
Joy Ollinger is based out of San Diego, but part of the ASPCA's National Disaster Response Team.
Well, I have a lot of wildfire background. And
we've followed her before when she assisted in the 2021 Calder fire in Lake Tahoe.
And this was definitely different. The devastation was so extreme and so complete.
There was devastation, but also hope for the animals who survived.
3 that we picked up in one day, all were microchipped.
From rescuing cats to caring for horses whose owner was hospitalized from the fires.
And she would just follow us around. She was like a big cuddly dog.
There were dogs and hundreds of chickens.
We would pull up in the trucks and all the chickens would come running over to us and some would jump inside the truck. They were so excited to eat.
Ollinger says that she and her teammate dug a hole so dozens of piglets could drink from a donated kiddie pool.
And then we lowered tubs into the ground, and then I helped surround it with rocks so that it would be steady so the little babies could drink.
And 3 very social reptiles.
We had 3 huge tortoises. They were in a fenced yard, but the house and everything around it had burned.
Ollinger's now returned to San Diego, but the Maui Humane Society estimates out of the 3,000 animals who were displaced by the wildfires, they're still caring for 600 pets and livestock.
It was extremely rewarding, and the people out there were incredibly gracious to us. They were so welcoming.
Abby Black, CBS 8.
Yeah, so glad that there's such generous people who step up. Abby, thank you. Hey, well, Wednesday, the YMCA hosted its 20th annual Day by the Bay for Active Aging Week. It's a time for hundreds of San Diego seniors to celebrate remaining active while aging by taking time to kayak, paddleboard, or sail. The YMCA says staying active is a key way to help seniors stay healthy and socialize with others. That's because loneliness in older adults is associated with a 50% increase in dementia and other serious medical conditions.
This is where they come, they get to meet other people. This is a great avenue for them to be social, be active. That's the whole idea, is being active this week.
Could not love this more. So in honor of Active Aging Week, YMCA is offering a free activity to any adult 50 years or older at any location. Well, there's an opportunity to explore the strange world of carnivorous plants here in San Diego. The San Diego Botanic Garden is bringing entertainment and education into their space through the end of the month. CBS 8's Evan Narani pays them a visit in this week's Earth 8 report.
Head to the San Diego Botanic Garden in Encinitas this month and you'll notice something different. In their Savage Gardens exhibit, a wetland has been crafted showing you the intricate and sometimes bizarre world of carnivorous or killer plants.
So you'll see a Nepenthes pitcher plant that you can climb inside of and pretend like you're an insect that's been stuck inside. You can hear what it sounds like maybe if you are a fly trapped inside. You can walk through a wetland and look at where these plants would naturally occur. And right now it's a little bit spooky for Halloween, so there's some fun bat skeletons and other things to explore in the place. We've got some large terrariums, some small terrariums just to mimic what their habitat might look like, and some other larger sculptures just to see what these plants would look like if you were the size of an insect.
And it's a delicate balance not only in nature to find these plants, but to bring the fun and science together to show visitors how these plants work in nature.
We want to attract people into the beauty and wonder of plants and the environment, and also hopefully have them with a takeaway of why these plants are important, what role do they serve, what's some unique factor, like some of these pitcher plants can capture a rodent, for example, just something that sticks with us, because the things that we really relate to and connect to, we care about, and what we care about, we protect. And so for us, it's really a mix of entertainment, the aesthetics and beauty and kind of fun and excitement of it, but also leaving with some takeaways.
The Venus flytrap is perhaps the most well-known carnivorous plant. It also has one of the fastest movements of a plant ever recorded.
But go ahead and touch some of these gooey parts and then slowly pull your hand away to see how sticky. Look at that. So imagine being a little insect. You're not going to
No, you're not going
avoid
anywhere.
that.
The exhibit comes at a crucial time for wetlands where these plants are found. The EPA estimates that of the 220 million acres of wetlands found in the continental U.S. hundreds of years ago, more than half have been drained and converted to other uses.
When that habitat is lost, these plants can't live anywhere else. They have to have a wetland. And so they're displaced, and that's pretty much the end of the line for many of these species. And not only when one species becomes extinct, there's also secondary extinctions, which means if you lose one species, the other species dependent on it for food or for habitat, they are then threatened and also often become extinct. So it just kind of sets off a chain of problems that can happen and have very wide-reaching impacts.
You can visit the Traveling Showcase through October 29th, and while you're there, enjoy the Fall Festival beginning on October 12th. In Encinitas, Evan Irani, CBS 8.
October, you know it, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. On Monday, many San Diegans dealing with the dreadful diagnosis of breast cancer had the chance to relax along the water. CBS 8 is a proud partner with the Susan G. Komen organization, and our own Ariana Cohen is at the Embarcadero with more on this really just incredible event.
Breast cancer survivors, supporters, and volunteers are in for a surprise with a relaxing getaway.
Welcome aboard.
Barbara Schaefer was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was just 28 years old.
The diagnosis it turned my world upside down. You know, it was, I felt lost.
Today, she is cancer-free at 55 years old. For the past 26 years, she's been a volunteer and advocate for Susan G. Komen's More Than Pink Walk.
I raised over $28,000 for the cause, and I was the #1 fundraiser.
She joins this group of other breast cancer survivors and thrivers on a city experience cruise for a 2-hour tour around San Diego Bay.
It's all about smiles. Everybody walks on a boat with a smile, go around, cruise around San Diego with a smile. That's really what we want to do. We want to bring back some happiness and joy. Again, remind people of why they're out here and what they're fighting for.
A time to share personal stories.
My sister's name was Sandra Lopez. My sister passed away 3 years ago due to metastatic breast cancer.
I've watched too many of my friends, family members that have gone through breast cancer.
And for Barbara, a time to be grateful.
I celebrate every day, and there's days I'm human and I get down and, you know, and things, but it's such a beautiful day today, so I'm going to be present.
The Susan G. Komen Walk kicks off Sunday, November 5th. Make sure to come out and show your support. Reporting from the Embarcadero, I'm Ariana Cohen for CBS 8.
Yeah, and our team is planning to be out there. Such an important cause. I did the 3-day a few years ago, just really inspiring. As always, thank you for your time. Thank you for staying informed. For CBS 8, I'm Jenny Day. Take such good care.